What's good, football fans? My name is Chris Battistel, and you can find me at FFChrisB on Twitter. Welcome to the Fantasy and Frames 2023 Dynasty Target Profile Series. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris. Before I do, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hammer that bell to get notified whenever the Fantasy and Frames Networks drops new content. Now, Najee Harris leads the Steelers running back room on a team that heavily invested in their offensive line. They drafted tackle Broderick Jones and guard Spencer Anderson. Tied to that, they were busy in free agency signing Isaac Seumalo, a guard who played over 1,100 snaps, only allowing one sack. Guard Nate Herbig and tackle LaRaven Clark, all from that Philadelphia Eagles team last season. All these signings and draft picks are a sign that the Steelers are planning to run a heavy rushing attack, which will benefit Najee Harris. A few setbacks last season from a nagging foot injury kind of held him back in 2022, but all signs are pointing that that injury is now behind Najee. But let's dive deeper into the player as a fantasy asset, because that's why we are all here. Najee, in his 2 years, has amassed 2,934 scrimmage yards, adding 20 combined rushing and receiving touchdowns. Averaging that out, it comes to about 1,467 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns per season. On a per-game basis for fantasy points in half PPR, Najee Harris has a career average of 13.74 fantasy points per game. That's a great floor. If he didn't have to deal with that injury last season, he would have easily finished as a mid RB1 just due to his volume alone. A player that was fifth in rushing attempts, only behind guys like Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry. If he can be a little bit more efficient with the ball, Harris's abilities and volume can pay off in a big way. But where he lacks is producing those big plays, which as a fantasy manager is what you want from a running back to get you over the edge during the season and tally those W's. His yards per reception is 5.6, and that puts him at RB30. And what that stat tells me is that when he catches the ball, he just isn't creating much to gain yards. His breakaway run rate is 2.6%, which slots him at RB50. Added to that, his low number of breakaway runs at 7, RB29. He isn't creating much when he does get the ball. If he didn't get the volume that he gets in that Steelers offense, it would be rough to roster a player like Najee Harris. His overall success rate is also on the lower end at 47%. And what the success rate tells me is that Najee Harris isn't doing the things needed from him to keep his offense in favorable situations and ultimately on the field. Where he does shine, though, is in the red zone. 38 red zone touches in 2022. He is the guy for the Steelers in scoring situations. Week 18 last year versus the Browns, he had 8 of them. Now, those 8 aren't included in my 38 because who really plays fantasy football in Week 18? But as the season as a whole, that's 46 touches in the red zone. One of the better backs in the league and taking advantage of his opportunity when giving the ball in scoring distance, and his red zone touchdown efficiency shows that. Top running backs like Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Christian McCaffrey all have a 4% red zone touchdown efficiency. A player like Jamal Williams, who amassed so much touchdowns last year, sits at 3.9%, and Najee Harris is right behind him at 3.8%. When he's getting the ball in those scoring situations, he's trying to make the most of what he can do. At his value, he should be a target for you in dynasty formats. He is a volume monster. He is the go-to in the red zone for the Steelers. They have an improved defensive line. He has a safe floor, and his dual threat capabilities make him script-proof. Right now, according to DLF's April Dynasty ADP, Najee Harris in Superflex formats is going off the boards as RB8, which is 47 overall, which puts him at about a mid-4th round startup pick. Other players going around him in that spot are Devontae Adams, Kyle Pitts, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Trey Lance, and Jordan Love. Of the names there, I'm probably taking Josh Jacobs over Najee, and considering age, I'm most likely taking Najee over Eckler and Adams. Rookie pick value, late first, but I'd rather have Harris. If I can get a mid first, knowing I can get guys like Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston, I'd most likely make that move, but I wouldn't be comfortable with trading away Najee for a late first, knowing that I'll most likely be taking a second-rate running back in that spot. That's it for me. I am Chris Battistel, and I hope you enjoyed this Fantasy and Frames Dynasty target profile on Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris.